Hey everybody, it's Johnny, and today we're somewhere we should not be. As you can see from the world map, we're out in the ocean. Wait, isn't this Zul'Aman? That's right. We're in the uninstanced Zul'Aman that is stored in the normal game world. There's no NPCs or water. As you can see in this shot, that area over there is supposed to be surrounded by water, but it ain't there. We'll get a better look at an empty body of water a bit later in the video. How did we get here? Well, that's a story for another day. This is the platform where you'd normally encounter the first boss, the bear and his guards, but they ain't here. In fact, there's not much here other than the terrain, but there is an invisible wall, and we'll be seeing a lot of them. As you can see, I am unable to jump over the waist-high fence because of the invisible wall. The character just kind of gets stopped. If you didn't know, the geometry for all instances exists somewhere out in the real-world map in WoW. The geometry is then copied into the instance for the dungeon or raid or whatever. In this way, a change can be made once to the geometry in the overworld, which would then replicate through the instance itself instead of developers having to make changes multiple times. Maybe there's other considerations for this type of design, so feel free to discuss in the comments. Maybe you know a little bit more about it than I do. Moving on, we're going to go fast and then come up on the next boss platform. And again, there's not much here that's interesting. As we approach the middle of the zone, though, we get a really good shot of the main door, which is closed. Now, in the actual instance, this door would have been opened to allow us to access the rest of the zone. Unfortunately, in this form, the door is not interactable. Object triggers are one of the things that are not included in the overworld version of instance geometry, as far as I have seen. Now here we're moving up to a door that would allow us to access yet another boss. As you can see from here, the door is interactable, but it's locked. So maybe I can hop on my Bobbysaur and grab an unlocking thing from the auction house. Unfortunately, this was wishful thinking. As we get closer, the door is no longer interactable. I wasn't able to find a way to get into the room or bypass the door. Coming back to the path and heading east, we come to what is supposed to be the iconic lake full of gators. But there ain't no gators, there's no water at all, and we can just run around freely. In the back here, there is yet another impassable waist-high fence. What is really cool about this shot is the waterfall in the back there that cascades into nothing. That is a pretty neat effect. You see the falls effect itself is built into the wall terrain, apparently, which is why we can still see it, though the real water is not present. Coming into the next boss room, this is where we'd get the iconic bear mount. Were this the real instance? I'm not mad I didn't grind one back in real TBC. Not at all. Here is yet another door we cannot interact with or otherwise bypass as far as I can tell. Back outside, I messed around to try and get up on this tree log thing, but I was unsuccessful, as you can see. So moving on, we come to the other side of that same lake. Now we can walk around under the hut. We can see canoes floating slightly off the ground on invisible water. Normally you can't do this, of course, you'd be swimming, so it's kind of cool to just romp around under here. Going into the hut and heading up the stairs onto the second level, we have a great opportunity to get behind the door we couldn't access earlier in the middle. It turns out the invisible walls here are defeated by heroic leap. Now, I won't make a joke about WoW's QA here, but you can feel free to do so in the comments. We're going to juke some more invisible walls and check out what's back here. At one point, I did think this was it. I thought I was done. I wouldn't be able to go any further. But then we got up onto the ledge here and everything changed. The invisible barriers here were again defeated by jumping, and I was then free to just run around. You can see we rub a little bit on an invisible wall, but are mostly unhindered. This entire area is water in the actual instance, so being able to mount and run around I thought was just so goddamn cool. Unfortunately, the only real thing to note that was interesting is that the wooden scaffolding has no player collision. You're not supposed to be down here after all. The bridge area above is walled off and you can't jump over it, so this part is supposed to be completely inaccessible, water or not. Oh, also at some point my character bugged out and disappeared, so just look at the shadow dot on the ground. Or, the giant mount, as the case may be. Running around in here, I again thought we were done until I noticed the hills. You see, elevation is the best friend of explorers in WoW, and this time it is no exception. We're going to run up this ledge and gain a little bit more height while waiting for a cooldown. And now it is time for our other explorer's best friend, Noggin Fogger Elixir, or specifically the slow fall effect. We'll drink one, get on a mount, and just float right over here, and boom, leap onto the top of the wall, no problem. I was super focused on reaching Zul'Aman's platform, so I didn't think about exploring the hills, but I will come back another time and do some more checking outside of the walls. So we run across the wall and head to where the final boss platform is. We can see it straight ahead, but there is yet another invisible wall we need to jump through, kind of locked into the middle of an invisible barrier. Unfortunately, I was unable to figure out a way to jump to the platform, and I end up falling off down the side and effectively soft locking myself. This area down here is completely surrounded by invisible walls. I did try a bunch to get out, as you can see, but I had to fire up the Hearthstone and leave. Anyway, this was really fun to explore. I hadn't been here before, and exploring in WoW is one of my favorite things to do. Have you been here before? What's your favorite hidden or lesser explored area of WoW? I would love to hear about it in the comments. And if you liked the video, please consider subscribing to my channel. It would really help me out and greatly improve the odds of more WoW content just like this. Thanks for watching, friends. Be safe.